Box-to-box overlap and Rugby World Cup round 5 is in the books and the group stages are done. Now we're into the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals are coming. I'm so excited. I don't think you guys understand how I've been waiting for this moment for the last 4 years. But before we start, as you can see, there's a lot of pink around us. Obviously, it's October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Us guys at Box to Box, we've been affected by breast cancer in one way or another. So it's just something that we want to actually create awareness for. And this time around, I think one of the big things that we want to do is just be a bit more involved, right? So there's 3 things that we're really trying to target is to get involved, to get screened. Obviously, breast cancer doesn't just affect women, but also men. And yeah, take action. Basically, educate yourself. Like, do something that is a bit extra. If you find someone you can help or you can donate to or something, right? Just take action. Do something about it. This is the most common cancer in the world. It's something that's there. 1 in 8 women are affected by it. So sometime in your lifetime, you are going to be affected by it one way or another. So especially for the guys, I feel like it's something we need to educate ourselves a bit more about, right? So with that being said, that is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're going to have a lot of pink on the show. And yeah, we're just going to get straight into it. So round 5 kicked off with the All Blacks. They beat Uruguay 73-0. Obviously, Damien McKenzie was immense in that game. He was man of the match. And yeah, the All Blacks assured of a place in the quarterfinals. It was not really in doubt, but yeah, it was a good outing. Damien McKenzie had an amazing try assist. If you haven't seen it, you need to go and check it out. He had 2 tries, 2 conversions, 147 meters made, 14 carries, and 4 defenders beaten. So really impressive. Then next day, France closed out Pool A by beating Italy 67. I have been quite disappointed in Italy. A tier 1 nation receiving 96 against the All Blacks and then receiving 60 against France, who were a bit, I don't say shaky, but it was their first game without their captain. So you'd think there was something there to exploit from the Italians. And they know them so well. They're in the 6 nations. They play against each other a lot. So for them to just be turned over, not necessarily in this game, but the 2 games combined, that's a combined 156 points, I think. It was like, that's insane. That's actually wild. Then man of the match was Gregory Aldrich. With his heavily strapped knee, he was just causing havoc everywhere. Then our first game on Saturday was Wales against Georgia. Wales ran out 43-19 winners. Obviously, Louis Rizamit with the hat-trick. He was on the wing for us in our fantasy team, so quite happy about that. Then Tommy Rafael was the player of the match. Then the next game was England versus Samoa. Going into this game, we were celebrating Owen Farrell for being the England all-time record point scorer. It's interesting that both Ireland and England, 2 of the biggest nations, their point scorers, like, we got point scoring records literally in the same, like, within the span of a week. Sexton for Ireland and Owen Farrell for England. So pretty good record for him. Then yeah, England won 18-7. This game was quite tight. Samoa were leading into halftime. It was something funny that I think, because I've watched every single game of this World Cup, I think it was the first time someone actually got the kicking timer. Like, someone actually time ran out before they could kick for goal. Owen Farrell. So yeah, that was the first time I saw that. A bit funny. But England managed to win 18-7. Samoa had a chance at the end there. Like, they had an amazing break. If it wasn't for that knock-on, things would have been quite different. But yeah, England just held on. I think professional performance. Also, they kind of had their foot off the gas a bit because they know they've qualified, right? Then man of the match was Lima Sopoanga, former Highlander, former All Black. I think this is the first time someone from a losing team has been man of the match this World Cup, if I'm not wrong. Then Saturday evening was the big one, Ireland versus Scotland. I thought we'd have a lot to talk about in this game, but yeah, Scotland were turned over. Ireland won 36-14. I had made notes. I was making notes as the game was going, and I was like, "Wow, I'm going to talk about this game." But then by halftime, like it just seemed like it was over. Scotland just towards the end of the first half and beginning of the second half, discipline really cost them. They didn't go for points early. They wanted to go to the corner and try and score points, and I think that's where the downfall started. Because had they kept it close in the beginning, things would have been. I feel like would have been a bit different. But yeah, like Ireland just proved that the goal line defense is insane, and I feel like the way to beat this Ireland team is you have to put scoreboard pressure. You get chances at goal, you kick, because you might get 5 opportunities on their line and you'll only score 1. So when you have opportunities to get points on the board, you take them. This team their defense is good. Like they really suffocated Scotland. Very disappointing end to the World Cup for Scotland. Yeah, let's see where they go after this. They suffered big injuries, I think, at the beginning of the game. Jamie Ritchie went off, their captain. They also had an injury in the back line, and Smith had to come on. So, yeah, Ireland just imposed their will on them, and it was not at 6-14, but it felt like a 70-point win. Like they dominated defensively, offensively, every single way. Scoreboard pressure made Scotland make stupid mistakes, penalties. Like, yeah, they were very good. Player of the match was Jamison Gibson-Park. And with that, obviously, Ireland secured top spot in Pool B. Then next day we had Japan playing Argentina. This game had probably the try of the tournament from Lock Fakatava, Japanese lock. The skill set of some of these players, I think him and Jack Morgan from Wales are just people who are not scared to put foot to ball as forwards, so really good try. Argentina just were better on the day, took their chances. They were just a better team. Japan had to try different things to try and put them under pressure. They had to be a bit more creative, but it didn't work out. Like, for example, when the scrum half had that Lima Sopwanga kick where you get the ball and then you kick it over your head, like backwards. You kick it backwards over your head. So they were trying things. They almost like pulled them off, but Argentina just had more than them. Man of the match was Mateo Carreras, which I think was good to see because we need some of these young players for Argentina to come through, especially after the first game when both Carrerases just didn't have good games. Then they had to call up Nick Sanchez and like the old heads to come and kind of stabilize the ship. So to see the young guys now laying down a marker just before the quarterfinals is good and shows that maybe they can be depended upon, right? So, and obviously with that, Argentina qualified for the quarterfinal in second place in Group D. And then Tonga played Romania, ran out 45-24 winners. It was just one of those games. Tonga just came out and just played well. At least this was their biggest win ever in a World Cup, 21-point win. Romania have proved that they can actually score, which I thought they'd be one of the lowest scoring teams, but they've actually put up points in this World Cup. So good to see. Again, former All Black George Moala was man of the match, played well. Then in probably the shock of the round, Fiji again. Last World Cup, Fiji lost to Uruguay. This time around, they lost to Portugal. But this was a win that Portugal, like, these guys fought. Like, you could tell it meant a lot. Like, I don't think, they're the one team that have been knocked out, but are so elated and excited. For them to get this win was immense. It was massive. Nicolas Martins was really good. Like, the way they finished, I've realized the way they're closing off games is actually, they're not just getting battered, right? Like, they're fighting through the end. And even they had a draw and now they have a win. So they've had really good finishes to games. And I think those are some of the things that smaller nations you don't see in them quite a bit. So for them to actually pull off this and win 24-23 winners against Fiji was quite impressive. And this was a win that will be long in the books of the Portuguese team and for Portuguese teams to come. But with that, also Fiji managed to secure the 1 point. They lost by 1 point. They managed to secure a place in the quarterfinals. And with that, they knock out Australia, who needed Fiji not to get anything from this game. So, yeah. And yeah, basically that's how the games went in the groups, and we actually have our quarterfinalists, and our quarterfinals are looking juicy.